How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL video. And today we're going to be taking a look at 3 wildcard drafts I have for those wildcarding in Game Week 30, for Game Week 30, so you can get rid of all those rubbish teams you dead-ended into blank Game Week 29 and see what nice and new fancy players you can have in your team for this week. If you haven't done so already, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. And also drop us a follow over on Twitter so you can see when stuff like these videos go out, as well as when we go live for our FPL streams, which are over on Twitch. Make sure to check us out next week, Monday coming, 7 p.m. EST. So make sure to check us out for that. That's going to be the preview stream, and we'll also be doing the deadline stream over for Game Week 30 as well, 1 hour before the FPL deadline, as per usual. So make sure to come check us out live for that. So without further ado, let's take a look at the drafts. So the first draft I have here is an actual draft that is somewhat on the expensive side, 104.2 million, and I deemed it the Game Week 33 free hit draft. So this would be a team that you would keep and free hit against it in 33 so that you could bring in players that are a little bit better, because as you can see with this team, you have the likes of Gundogan, De Bruyne, Diaz, Son, and Kane, who won't play in that game week because of the fact that they have the Carabao Cup final. With certain players for City, we've gone with the most stable ones in my opinion. Gundogan and De Bruyne are probably going to get the most minutes across just all of City's games left, whether they'll be prioritized, and maybe that's a situation where you can go for a differential like Mahrez, who's probably going to play more in the Premier League. That's yet to be determined, but I think De Bruyne and Gundogan are going to be staples when they play against some good teams, like when they play Leicester next weekend. I think that they'll definitely put a full-strength squad out, because the league, although it is, pretty much in their hands, they still have a little bit still left to go, and I think they'll keep playing pretty much a full-strength squad, more or less, until they get that. We've gone with double Chelsea defense with Rudiger and Mendy. No real surprises there. They have great fixtures up until and including around Game Week 35. Luke Shaw's in there, who can actually be replaced out for a Wolves defender after Game Week 30. If you want to keep him till Burnley in Game Week 32 and get it, and then you free hit him out in 33 and then transfer him out in 34 for Wolves defender, that's fine too. But I think Wolves fixtures are so good, and Man United's defensively aren't all that. They have Leeds as well as Spurs in 2 out of the next 4 games that they play, so not entirely great there. Cresswell, someone who I like and have in my own team. I think he's quite good. And then Mitchell on the bench as well. Cresswell's also somebody who just kind of delivers well from set pieces. In the base, you just kind of you would rotate out the likes of Shaw, like I said, for Wolves defender, and you would play mostly 3 at the back. From Game Week 34 onwards, you'll probably be playing Diaz every game, unless when he plays Chelsea, in which case you would just bench one of those 2, whichever one you don't think is going to win, and you would play the other 2, so it'd be your Wolves defender, your West Ham defender, whose fixtures get even better come Game Week 35. In midfield, you can basically play 5 across midfield. No real qualms about that. For the first game week that you could have this team in Game Week 30, you would probably bench Gundogan maybe, because Antonio has Wolves, but Gundogan has Leicester, so it's a bit of a coin toss there. You're definitely playing De Bruyne, Son if he's fit, Fernandes, Rafinha, and Bamford have Sheffield United. And then for the most part, from that, you would just play either Bamford or Rafinha in most cases. But in Game Week 33, like I said, your Spurs assets, so you have 2 Spurs assets, 5 Man City assets. You can't bench all of those, and none of them are goalkeepers. So you would have 2 players that wouldn't play. So you'd either have to make transfers out to kind of supplement that and allow you to have a full squad in 33, but that's why I dubbed it the free hit draft, because there's some people that are on a wild card in Game Week 30 that still have the free hit yet available, and maybe they might use it in 33. Maybe they might use it later on in the season as just a one-off type of game week, which is definitely possible. But I thought I'd throw the draft in here because it's similar to some teams that are currently, out and active. A lot of people have Diaz, a lot of people have De Bruyne or Gundogan, Son, Fernandes, Kane, Antonio, Bamford, a Chelsea defender of some kind, and then some other defenders, Rafinha in there. That is a pretty common team. Maybe a change in goal, maybe Martinez is there or that sort of thing. So you can see that this sort of team can definitely work out if you have the free hit, and it's definitely an option for a Game Week 30 wildcard. On the second draft I have here comes at 102.9 million in squad value and is dubbed the early Liverpool draft. Now this is just pinpointing Liverpool having great fixtures pretty much from now all the way up until the end of the season. You know, they have Arsenal next, which, you know, historically has been a good fixture for them. Then they have Aston Villa, then they have Leeds, and then they have pretty much good fixtures. They play Man United, but everyone else, you know, they have Newcastle in there and a bunch of other teams that are down the bottom or not in great form. And I think triple Liverpool could be great in that regard, which is why we've gone with Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's, you know, is picking up his form a little bit. Hasn't been the greatest this season, but we know what he can do on his day. And then Salah and Jota, two players that I think are just crucial to Liverpool even having a chance at top four. I think Klopp should probably go with a system that allows for his front four in there and then just play two, so play a 4-2-3-1. So if Jota is like the number 9 as it were, or false 9, Firmino in the 10, Salah on the right, Mane on the left, or however you want to kind of slice it. Just those four need to play if they're going to want to do anything. They could win games 4-3. They should know that the defense isn't great, and they just need to score more than their opponent. And the best way to do that is add an extra player in there to kind of mix things up. We've gone with some similar staples in there. Mendy and Rudiger, double Chelsea defense is just quite good. Diaz, just somebody you're probably going to want to hang on to. Kane, same as well. Those are the only two players that you're going to have to bench in Game Week 33 for when they play in the Carabao Cup final. But we've gone with some bit of differential picks here. So we've gone with a Wolves defender in Roman Saiss. Could be Connor Cody, who's a bit more stable, potentially. Saiss is very good from set pieces, but he has been a bit streaky in terms of his, you know, role in the squad. Since Nuno's gone to a back three, he started, I believe, 6 games in a row. And I think that is, you know, that bodes well for his, you know, his price tag only being, I think, 0.1 more than Cody. So I think he's someone who's great from set pieces, and they have fantastic fixtures up until around game 35, 36. So I think he could be quite good there as well. You would just play Diaz when he has, you know, good fixtures from 34 onwards. Would be someone you probably kind of keep. You know, they have Villa, they have Leeds, and then they have Leicester coming up in Game Week 30. Then they have obviously the, you know, the postponed game for the Carabao Cup final, which they've already played. And then they'll have their fixtures, which from 34 onwards are great. They only have to play Chelsea, the most difficult fixture in 35, but they have the likes of Crystal Palace and, you know, those sorts of teams in those last few games. So you definitely want him in there. And Kane's obviously Harry Kane. The differential pick is Kai Havertz. This is a midfield slot, kind of a, you get a little bit more out of it. Maybe you go with, like, you know, maybe you can do Mahrez as an example, is a differential. I like that midfielder slot in that like 8 million bracket. I think this can also be downgraded slightly to the likes of Jack Grealish, who's someone who's just a pick in his own right. He's someone who makes Villa just that much better, and everything pretty much goes through him. Madison, when he comes back, I really like him. Harvey Barnes is still a consideration. You know, there's many different things you can do. And then Bruno Fernandes is also in the team as well. No surprises there. But you can kind of use your transfers to kind of play what I like to call the hokey cokey, or basically you could just swap them around. Basically, you can do the big hitter, you know, moving around strategy, where basically this game week you would have Fernandes versus Brighton. Then versus Leeds the following week, you bring in De Bruyne because you'll probably have a little bit extra money in the bank because 102.9 million isn't that much squad value. Then De Bruyne plays Aston Villa and Bruno Fernandes plays Burnley, so you can bring Bruno back in. And then you hang on to Bruno because then De Bruyne has a blank in that week because he plays in the Carabao Cup final. Then you can take Fernandes out for a couple of games because then De Bruyne has a couple of good games. And you could do a whole bunch of different things with that. Maybe you shift Kane to Vardy. That's another option as well. And then you can have the Vardy and the you know, Madison or Barnes double up in that regard. And I think Leicester could be quite good. I have Vardy in my own team, and I'm looking to potentially hang on to him because, you know, he has City, which obviously isn't great, but they scored 5 past City in their 5-2 victory the first time they played them. And then also they have West Ham. But then apart from that, up until Game Week 36, you can say Vardy's pretty good, pretty much till the end of the season, all things considered. And then Antonio, this could be Bamford as well. There's similar prices for me because I've sold both of them. I don't have them in my team. I think Bamford would be good for the immediate, you know, fixture, playing Sheffield United. The double up with Rafinha seems quite good, but the long-term Antonio's fixtures are quite good as well. So that's something to potentially consider. Or you could potentially get Calvert-Lewin, who has very good fixtures in the, you know, the short term as well. So another forward to look out for. And for the most part, you're going to be playing 3-5-2 in this system. On the odd occasion, you'll probably play 4-4-2. But for the most part, 3-5-2 is probably what you're going to be looking at for this draft. And then last but not least, a draft that comes at 103.3 million in squad value. I dubbed it the 541 draft. It has basically a one striker up front in terms of them playing in the lineup. You'll mostly be playing 4 midfielders and 4 defenders at least, and it's just a matter of whether you play that 5th defender or that 5th midfielder. In this case, our 5th midfielder would be Rafinha. He has a good fixture in 30, but then has a bad run from 31 through 33, 34-ish. So I would say you probably bench him, and you could just play your 5 defenders at the back. You know, a lot of teams have been doing quite well with, 4 or 5 defenders. Clean sheets seem to be quite good for these teams, and I think that, Diaz, Antonio Rudiger, Alexander-Arnold, Dawson, Sykes, they all have a decent run of fixtures at some point until the end of the season for the most part. I mean, City can keep a clean sheet versus anyone. Antonio Rudiger's next 4 fixtures are really good. Liverpool's fixtures till the end of the season are really good. West Ham's fixtures in the latter half of this last stretch of 8 or so games are really good as well. And then Wolves have a great set of fixtures coming up as well. And then Mendy in goal as per normal. This could also potentially be Martinez, and you could change him out after he's played Fulham. And you can go for someone like Patricio, who, again, has a good run of fixtures. You can even go for Alisson if you really wanted to go that route, if you weren't thinking about, triple Liverpool in terms of, outfield players. And then in midfield, they kind of pick themselves. Rafinha is basically the best budget midfielder in the game at the moment. Fernandes, De Bruyne, Son, those are, 3 pretty good premiums right now. And then Jota, another good budget midfielder who is going to have great fixtures for Liverpool. Son can then be exchanged out if you have a little bit of extra cash for somebody in the midfield that's going to, bolster things up a little bit. Maybe you drop Trent down by a couple million. Maybe you bring in the likes of Luke Shaw. You get him up to 11.4 million for Son. Maybe if you have an extra million, if your team's got a bit better squad value than that, then you can get the likes of Salah in there as well. And then you go with the 2 Liverpool midfielders, and then that still opens an option up for you as Alisson potentially as a goalkeeper. Although it's not that great. You would rather Trent because of the attacking returns, and Liverpool's fixtures definitely would potentially warrant a triple up, so I can definitely see that coming as well. We've also got Iheanacho there as well, so I have dubbed it the 5-4-1 formation. Iheanacho would be somebody you would probably play, but probably not in the first 2 game weeks. I put him on there because of the fact that Leicester do have a good run of fixtures, and he is the man in form. So I can easily see him scoring a good bit of goals when they go on that good run of games. It's just a matter of if Barnes or Maddison or both come back in the team, does Brendan Rodgers shake up the team? I think they can play a 3-4-1-2 with Maddison playing in behind Iheanacho and Vardy, with Barnes playing as a left-sided wing-back potentially. I think that could definitely work. But we don't know what Brendan Rodgers is going to do. We don't know the extent of the injuries of Barnes and Maddison. They should be back soon, apparently, but that can always change. I mean, Maddison's had this injury that keeps reoccurring. Barnes had an injury that basically took him out of the double game week, and it could be something where he's potentially out longer than what we'd expect. Obviously, if Son's injured, we wouldn't have him in there. I would probably find a way to maybe go with a 1-week punt potentially and just have the funds to change to the likes of, Salah or someone a bit more consistent. Maybe that's a role for Havertz. I mentioned it in the previous draft. And you also have the option to swap from Kane straight to Vardy, which also gives you an extra million. And then you have the 2 Leicester forwards in there as well. And you can always downgrade Son to Maddison or Barnes, and then upgrade Rafinha to a wild cardish like type midfielder, like a Havertz or somebody like that. Maybe you upgrade the defense a little bit. Maybe get somebody more secure. Maybe you get yourself a second goalkeeper, so that when Mendy's fixtures turn a little bit, when they go to play like Man City and such towards the last few games of the season, you can have another goalkeeper that has slightly better fixtures on that front. But I think this is definitely an interesting formation. It's going to be a bit nerve-wracking watching this team because you're just basically banking on clean sheets for the most part, and it's going to be something where you could potentially shift to a City double up when they go from game week 34 onwards. You can go to a Liverpool defense double up, or West Ham, or Wolves, or Chelsea. Like we said, there's a lot of good double ups in terms of defense for fixtures at certain points towards these last run of games. City from 34 onwards, Chelsea from 30 to 33, Liverpool basically from 33 onwards, West Ham from like 34-ish onwards, Wolves from 31-ish onwards, sorry. There's many different double ups you can go there, and I think the midfield is good enough to where you can have a bunch of budget options which allow to put this type of money in defense as well as just kind of relying on the one forward. But yeah, I think that's an interesting draft. Not necessarily my cup of tea, because I know what it's like to watch defenders with clean sheets just get wiped away, especially if they're playing on double ups or triple ups. And yeah, I would probably prefer more of the midfielders, but I thought I'd put it in there because I've seen some drafts that I've been going with, and I think it could be quite strong if teams start holding a lot more clean sheets than they already have been, and that's been quite a lot of clean sheets this season. And that's going to do it for our Game Week 30 wildcard drafts. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new, and turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. You want to have that notification bell on because I'm going to be doing a Game Week 31 wildcard drafts as well. Going to be a little bit different based on the players that you're potentially hanging on to or potentially getting rid of because of the fixture change. Like, you wouldn't have the necessity of keeping Leeds because they have the one good fixture in 30, and they have really bad fixtures for the next 3. So you probably wouldn't want to keep them, and that kind of changes potentially the dynamic of your team as well. Make sure also to give us a follow over on Twitter so you can see up-to-dates for various different things such as the YouTube as well as Twitch. And when we go live on Twitch for our preview and deadline streams, we'll be doing a preview stream this Monday coming over on Twitch, 7 p.m. EST, as well as a deadline stream on the Saturday, so a week tomorrow at the time of recording, today being the 26th of March. We'll be doing the deadline stream a week Saturday, so basically the day of Game Week 30, 1 hour before the deadline. We'll be live over on Twitch. Make sure to come check us out for that. There'll be a pinned comment down below so you can check that out as to what time and where we will be. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, take care.